All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the January meeting of the House Authority of the Birmingham District. We'll begin the meeting with a moment of silence. Amen. Now we'll have the roll call of commissioners. Vice Chair Pantazis.
Present.
Commissioner Thompson.
Present.
Commissioner Barnes.
Present.
Commissioner Lewis.
Present.
All right, looks like we have a full house, so this meeting, we have a quorum, so the meeting is officially called to order. The next item on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Commissioners, if you had an opportunity to look at the agenda, we also have a consent agenda. If you're okay with the agenda as printed, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
Motion to adopt the agenda as printed.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we accept the agenda as printed. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Any opposed? That item passes. The next item is election of officers for the calendar year 2023. So this is an exciting time for new leadership. And Attorney French, you'll keep me straight on my parliamentary procedure as it relates to this.
Yes, sir.
But if it pleases the body, I'll entertain nominations for office of president. Chair.
I would like to nominate Commissioner Pantazis as chair. Second.
Any other nominations for chair? Going once, going twice. All right, since there is one nominee, I think at this point we'll entertain, what do we
Motion to
do?
close nominations.
Oh, yeah, entertain a motion to close nominations.
Make a motion that we close the nomination.
Second.
So move in proper second that we close nominations. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, that item passes.
And then by acclamation, it becomes the chairman.
Okay, so by acclamation, our one nominee will be our chairman for calendar year 2023. Congratulations, Chairman Dennis Pantazis. Do I continue or does he now pick up?
As though he's a chair.
He's.
Oh, wow. Listen. Look. I know.
Well, first I'll just say thanks because this is a big honor and I just appreciate everyone's support. But my other commissioners, particularly Dr. Hood, for everything you guys have done and showing your faith in me. So I really do appreciate it. And it'll just be our mission to continue the work and to get it going the right direction. So thank you guys. This means a lot. All right, I guess we gotta get a vice chair too, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll entertain a motion for nominations for vice chair.
I would like to make a motion to nominate Commissioner Dawana Thompson for vice chair.
I second. Can I say? Any others?
I will offer a motion that we close nominations on vice chair.
I second. All right, so via acclamation, we now have new vice chairman.
Let's take the vote on closing it.
Do we still do this?
Just
Yeah.
All right,
all in favor.
all in favor to close the nominations for vice chair? Via vote, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, so they are now closed and we have our new vice chairman, Commissioner Thompson.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Here's your pen.
All right, now I should have paid a little more attention to the agenda. I can do all that.
I go back to exactly what I'm supposed to do again.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, you do, Chairman Pantazis, if it's okay, I just want to let you guys know, I really do appreciate the opportunity to serve as chair the last 2 years. It's really been an honor and a privilege to work alongside CEO Foster and the executive team. It's been really good. I really enjoy working with you guys. I will continue this work as past chair. And really want to appreciate being Vice Chair Pantazis for just being a leading person through this work. And so I'm really appreciative and excited about the leadership that both you and Vice Chair Thompson will have. So thank you.
Well, we appreciate all your hard work. I know you've been both in front of everything, but also doing the work behind the scenes too. So we just really appreciate everything you've put into this, and don't go too far because we'll be calling.
Right. Well done.
All right, well, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is to approve the items on the consent agenda, which were previously circulated to all members of the board. Sitting here now, we still have an opportunity to remove items, I believe, off of the consent agenda if anyone feels that they should not be included. So I'll put that to the board. Are there any items that any board member wishes to remove from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda as submitted previously to the board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
That motion, the consent agenda passes. So we will move on to old business. Is there any old business? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Is there any new business?
So good afternoon, commissioners, Attorney French, and all those that are present. I want to first say congratulations to the officers, Chairman Pantazis and Vice Chair Ms. Thompson. I just want to say I do and know that the leadership, the great leadership from Commissioner Hood will continue. So I want to say again, congratulations, and look forward to working beside both of you to do great things for the Housing Authority of Birmingham District. Okay. And I just have a few items I want to share on the new business. HABD was awarded a family self-sufficiency grant in the amount of $232,000 from Housing and Urban Development to support the salaries of our FSS coordinators who work to connect our public housing residents and Section 8 participants with employment opportunities and economic empowerment resources. And I also want to, and I know we have made a formal introduction, but I want to make a public introduction so it can be in our minutes to our new member of the executive team, and that's Kelly Gamble. And Mr. Gamble, let me get my paperwork here. Sorry. Mr. Gamble, 2 weeks now, been with us from Neighborhood Housing Services of Birmingham as our Vice President of Strategic Initiatives. In his role, Mr. Gamble will lead HABD's Magic City Housing Development Corporation, helping shape our strategic direction and initiatives. He will oversee the agency's acquisition of vacant and commercial land for development and homeownership efforts. Additionally, he will support the strength of HABD's position in grant opportunities, identifying notices of funding availability and securing leverage from public and private partners. So, Mr. Gamble, if you'd like to say a few words, you're welcome to do so. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Kelly Gamble. I'm the Vice President of Strategic Initiatives for the Housing Authority of Birmingham District. Thank you so much for this opportunity. The last couple of weeks have been very intense. There's a lot of information that needs to be taken in. I am very excited about the opportunities that Magic City Housing Development Corporation offers to the Housing Authority and the repositioning strategy that we discussed last week in the board retreat. Every member of the staff that I've had an opportunity to get on their calendars has been very supportive, and I'm highly appreciative of this opportunity. My teammates with the Housing Authority of Birmingham District and this board. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So my final updates, I would like to congratulate 2 of our executive team members. I would first like to send out congratulations to Megan Holland, our Director of Public Relations, She was selected into the inaugural Emerging Leaders Cohort of the Kiwanis Club of Birmingham. And she will support the club service and youth literacy initiatives. Congratulations, Ms. Holland. We would also like to congratulate Seth Embry, our Chief Policy and Government Affairs. He graduated from FADA, Rutgers Executive Director Education Program during the FADA's conference on January the 10th. This program allowed participants to stay current with industry standards and gain new insight into the profession and our professional development for those that are aspiring to be an executive director. So congratulations, Ms. Embry.
Where's your wave, sir? I know. Right. Gotta keep it fair.
So that closes out to this.
Congratulations.
Great, congrats. That's awesome. All right, we'll move on to property operations. The first item would be the Section 3 policy revision.
There'll be Jacqueline French. She's our Director of Workforce Development.
Good afternoon, board. Congratulations on the new placement. Don't do us too bad.
Right.
Right. Okay, wait a minute, I got the wrong. Oh, give me just a second. Okay, today, board, we are asking for approval of the revisions to the Section 3 policy. Just a quick introduction. The Housing Authority of Birmingham District proposes to revise its Section 3 policy to be in compliance with the regulations. There we go. Regulations of the Department of Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968. The Housing Authority must revise the Section 3 policy as needed to comply with HUD requirements in pursuance of administering the Section 3 program in accordance to HUD regulations. So also the purpose for the revision is, the purpose of this request is to obtain board approval to revise the Section 3 policy to be in compliance with HUD regulation and overall agency goals by updating verbiage to coincide with the regulation changes. Okay. In order to be in compliance with the final rules and regulations of the HUD Act of 1968, HABD has revised its current policy to reflect the following changes: reporting requirements, record keeping, Section 3 benchmark requirements, revision to the Section 3 contract compliance cure and termination processes, and we have updated the procurement solicitation packet. Okay, so here's some key changes to the Section 3 policy and also to the Section 3 rule. The Section 3 rule has changed from the interim rule and is now a final rule. They've actually changed the location within the regulation. It's now located at 24 CFR 75. Another key change is the percentage of new hire compliance standards is now percentage of total hours worked standard. So that's one of the main changes. That's actually, with that change comes changes to our reporting. Also qualifying Section 3 participant definition. So we've changed the definition of what a Section 3 participant is. It went from Section 3 resident to Section 3 workers. Also qualifying Section 3 business concerns. So the qualifications for people to certify as a Section 3 business concern has changed as well. Non-construction contracts, that has changed, and the only change with that is professional services. Our architect contracts, those type of contracts that are non-construction, they're no longer Section 3 compliant. And the procurement documentation, as stated before, that's changed within the policy as well. Okay. So board, resolved by the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority, we are requesting that you approve the revisions to the change of the Section 3 policy. And before we do that, any questions?
It's less of a question. I
I knew you were going to. Right.
It doesn't affect my desire to approve this board item. But it's something that I would just like to reiterate in our previous discussions, that I would prefer that or encourage us to review our contracts in all areas and make sure that we have enough teeth in those contracts to enforce the items in this new regulation that we feel are important to our agency's Section 3 program.
Yes. I have had a conversation with our procurement department to go over the contracts and make sure that verbiage is not only in the contracts, but they're in the pre-bid contract, pre-bid documentation as well.
Sounds good.
And also to include that we always have all of our contracts that we implement, it goes to our attorneys for review prior to execution.
Perfect.
I have a question. You said the change from resident to workers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so does that actually mean it does not have to be a resident? It could be from anywhere in the neighborhood, in the area?
You're absolutely correct. So it's changed from a Section 3 work or Section 3 resident to a Section 3 worker and a targeted Section 3 worker. The targeted Section 3 worker would be a resident of any public housing or Section 8. No more questions? Hearing none?
Appears so.
Chairman, I'll offer a motion to adopt these revisions to the Section 3 policy.
All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
All right, move on to real estate development and capital improvements. I believe there are 4 different items.
Yes, we have Cindy Herrera, our real estate consultant on Zoom to present these
Hello.
items.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Can you move to the next slide, please? Yes. There we go. Okay. The first resolution that we have is to approve the master development agreement with Integral and Rural Enterprises. They are the developers that will be working with us for the redevelopment of Smithfield Court and Tom Brown Village. As you know, Smithfield Court is the choice neighborhood application, which we are very pleased to say was submitted almost a day and a half before the due date. So we're very excited and optimistic that we will be successful. The Housing Authority actually solicited development partners back in 2021, and the board previously approved the preliminary business terms with Integral and Rural. The development agreement has been negotiated and approved and basically worked on by our real estate council. And we've incorporated those business terms. We shared some of those details in our workshop last week, and basically have added a provision regarding training, that the developer will in fact provide training to HABD staff in the property management component as the projects are redeveloped. You could go to the next slide, please. So basically at this point, we are, this just basically says, I'm not going to read it. It basically is the action that says that we're, this is part of our overall Thrive 2035 plan. And so these 2 projects will be done with Integral. Next slide. And so we recommend, yes.
I just want to ask Attorney French, can we entertain a motion to approve all these at once, or do we need to approve them all separately?
Either way,
oh,
unless there are objections to any of the individual items.
If it pleases the rest of the board, how about we hear out all 4? And then if there are items that you feel like we need to address in particular to one of them, we can ask those questions, and then I'll entertain a motion to approve all 4 at the end. Is that okay?
Great, thank you. Okay, so move on. This is for Integral and Rural. Move on again to the next one. The next master development agreement we have is for Paces Preservation Partners. They were the developer that was selected for the redevelopment of Cooper Green and Reverend Dr. Morel Todd Homes. Again, this was part of the same solicitation process under which they were selected, and we negotiated, and the board previously approved those business terms. Next slide. Next slide. So basically on this one, Cooper Green will be a rehab in place with no relocation. And We anticipate that that will be a 2023 project, and Todd Homes will be a demolition and new construction, and that's actually a 2025 project. So we're recommending moving forward with the development agreement, the master development agreement with Paces Preservation for these projects as well.
Okay.
Next slide. The next two resolutions in front of you are to authorize the closing of the two affordable housing components on the Southtown redevelopment. The first one is the Southtown family development. We previously entered into a master development agreement with Southside Development Company for the redevelopment of Southtown Public Housing Community. This is the first component. It consists of 60 units of housing for families. What the Housing Authority will be doing is entering into a ground lease for 99 years with the owner entity of the community, and we will be providing project-based vouchers. The Housing Authority does have a first right of refusal on the property, not earlier than 7 years following the stabilization upon completion of construction. Next slide. Next slide. Go on to the next one, please.
I'm moving it, Cindy.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Basically, this is a recommendation authorizing the CEO to be able to make the commitment for the 99-year ground lease and the 60 project-based vouchers that will be provided for the property, and then entering into executing any other necessary documents to complete the closing based on approval from real estate legal counsel. Next one. Next slide. Okay, that's the actual resolution. Next slide. Okay, this is the final resolution for real estate development. This is to approve the closing of the Southtown Senior Housing. The Southtown Senior Project is being developed by the Benoit Group. It is 143 units of housing for individuals age 62 and older. The Housing Authority will be providing also a 99-year ground lease for this project, 143 project-based vouchers, and a cash flow loan equal to $5.5 million, which was part of the commitment under the original master development agreement. Next slide. I'll mention that in both of these projects, the former Southtown residents have a preference to be able to get priority above other applicants for these particular projects. They are both low-income housing tax credit projects, and residents have to meet the eligibility criteria. So this is a recommendation authorizing the CEO to move forward with the closing, providing the 99-year ground lease, the 143 project-based vouchers, and executing the mortgage for the cash flow loan, as well as any other necessary documents to finalize the closing. This project also has a right of first refusal for the Housing Authority at the end of 15 years. Any questions on these four resolutions?
Yes.
The part that you read about the eligibility requirement, is that for a resident that was already there and it's going into the new part, they have to be eligible to go into that part?
That is correct. That's correct, Commissioner.
Still there?
Pardon me?
Even though they are still there, they're residents now, they still have to be eligible to go into the senior building?
That is correct, ma'am. Southtown was basically demolished and being disposed of under what HUD refers to as their Section 18 program. Under the Section 18 program, residents are considered permanently displaced, but HABD negotiated with the developer that residents from Southtown would have a priority to be able to go into the new properties. The new properties are low-income housing tax credit properties, which are governed by the IRS, not by HUD. And so there are certain eligibility requirements to comply with the IRS program that would be different than the criteria for public housing. And so residents have to be able to meet that low-income housing tax credit criteria. And that's the eligibility provisions that they would have to comply with to be able to move into the new projects.
And
We do have, we do have the relocation specialist and the asset manager, Ms. Holmes and Ms. Crenshaw, who have been working very closely with the residents. And there is actually a meeting scheduled for next week with residents to talk further. There have also been meetings between the property management companies that will manage these two properties and the residents, explaining to them what the eligibility criteria is. And in the upcoming meeting, the management representatives will be there as well. So there has been some ongoing and frequent communication with residents about the criteria.
And so I did want to add just to what she indicated, that we have shared the criteria with the residents. They are aware of those criteria. They're not much different from public housing criteria, and so we're having a meeting with the residents on next week. And the meeting will include pre-screening to let them know where they are. And the pre-screening will include everything except for the criminal background. We wait to the end to do that, when it's close to move in. But they will know where they're staying at that point, starting next week.
So it is a possibility that if they don't meet the eligibility requirements, they could become homeless.
No, ma'am, they will not become homeless.
No.
Option to them.
Could they?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to make it real clear that the Housing Authority is governed under the Federal Uniform Relocation Act. We absolutely cannot have anyone without optional housing. So if for some reason somebody didn't meet the eligibility criteria, the Housing Authority is obligated and obviously would want to put forth every effort to make sure that that family is moved to another appropriate housing unit.
Am I correct that because it was section 18 under say a RAD redevelopment, would there be a different, would the criteria change as to the relocation issue?
Yes, there is. Under RAD, there is absolutely no displacement and residents are not rescreened. So RAD has some different provisions than section 18 does. So because this was not done under RAD, it was done under section 18, it has different criteria, but all of the upcoming development that we've spoken about under the new MDAs we just discussed, those will be RAD conversions, the majority of them, or there'll be a RAD in section 18. But if there's any RAD, then basically the RAD provisions prevail and residents are not considered displaced. They can only be relocated. And so they basically have a guaranteed right of return with no rescreening under RAD, but it's not the same under section 18.
I think that's really important as we evaluate the new development agreements to understand that piece of the puzzle.
I believe, Ms. Herrera, I think in our real estate meeting, just so I'm clear, the integral and rule one and also the Cooper Green one, those are RAD?
Those are all RAD, yes, ma'am.
And the Benoit?
The one that you're approving now for Southtown Senior, which is Benoit,
Okay.
and then Southtown Family is Breck. Those are section 18. Those are not RAD. Thus the distinction.
Any other questions about any of the 4 agenda items here? Well, then, if hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve all 4 agenda items presented by the Real Estate Development and Capital Improvements.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? 4 pass. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to get just an update after y'all have the meeting with the residents, just to see how many people might potentially be impacted by it. Number one, to get ahead of the narrative around that, if there is a narrative that comes out of it. But number two, to make sure also, I know that they get put in another place, but perhaps it could be a premium place that they're being put into, or a better situation, considering that they're not going to be able to
Go back.
participate in the new, establishment that's going to be there.
Yes.
Not that I know I'm not saying we can do that, but just whatever we can do
Yeah.
to make it, an impactful way for them to be able to.
Yes, definitely do that.
All right, moving on to presentations by persons desiring to speak before HABD Board of Commissioners. Do we have a list that anybody signed up on?
You got it.
Hello,
Hello?
good morning, oh, good afternoon, how are you?
Good. With whom are we speaking?
Mr. Charles.
Ms. Ra-
Yes, this is Ms. Reynolds from Southtown. So I was listening to the presentation. That's what apparently this was under the excuse me, under the impression that they were not going to pre-screen them, but due to the development, what it is, the development under which is Section 18 really wasn't meant for the residents for real. Now we could have got a rad, there might have been a possibility, but the problem is now they're saying that they're not gonna have any homeless residents, but yet instead you're gonna relocate them again to the next project is ready to be torn down. So then they're gonna have to face it again. So I'm trying to figure out, like, I mean, there's I'm sorry, y'all, please forgive me. I'm at work. So there's a big problem because there's a big misunderstanding because of what the residents were not told, that we were not told the truth. We were told that everyone would be returning and with no problem, and here we are facing a problem. So what do we do?
Ms. Reynolds, do you intend on attending the meeting next week, Ms. Foster?
I do.
I think it's probably most productive for us to reconvene after the meeting and see how everything goes and report back to us as to what the effect that Commissioner Thompson referenced will be. I think after that, that's probably the best time to have further discussions on this.
Please fasten driver seat belt.
Okay.
We certainly take it seriously and want to hear more about it and see what we can do to assist everybody.
All right, because like I said, there's a big confusion, and you got a lot of residents that really does not understand what's really about to happen, and that's the problem I have. And it's not fair, and it has not been fair. And we do know that the deal was jacked up before the deal went forward, but there was nothing we could do because that management or CEO was already gone. So yeah, we got a problem, a big problem. And I'm willing to go all the way forward for whatever I have to do to protect my residents, because it's not fair and it's not right, and they do need understanding. But I thank you for letting me speak, and I wish everybody would tell the truth about really what's about to happen in Southtown, because the news that we're getting and the news that y'all getting is two different news.
Well, thank you, Ms. Reynolds. We appreciate you voicing those concerns, and we'll definitely follow up with CEO Foster about these.
All right, thank you.
It looks like we have a Willie Wilkerson who signed to speak today for our pre-allotted 3 minutes.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Supposed to be back for they going back in Southtown and they don't understand.
I do a lot of footwork over there in the Inslee Tuxedo. I don't mind doing it. I grew up over there, and you're supposed to get back with me, and you never did. I'm appalled at that, but that's okay. I'm busy too. But anyway,
You address your concerns though, right?
yeah, I would just want to, highlight some things that we said that we was gonna do about the signs in the parking lot. And no lottery, and that's the only way we can get Birmingham, to work with us, because we fixed a lot of the issues, me and Mr. Foreman did. But we still need the signs out there in the back lights too, that need to be working. They ain't working. They're out, some of them out. And we got single women that come in and out, you know, and some you gotta keep an eye on, some you don't. So, you know, but like I'm working out there in that community, like I'm just concerned about things, just just keep jumping around, just being non-complacent. You know, it ain't good for business. Really, you know, if I was a contractor, because I have been, I mean, you can't be jumping around on my property like that for real. You're gonna stay there and fix that. That's the truth of the matter, you know. Stay there in the class, finish your work and leave. Just jumping around and stuff, it just ain't good. I mean, it just ain't good for the tenants, ones that's older and trying to do right. And definitely good for the younger ones, because see, they got the attitude, they don't care anyway. You know, but you know, we've been holding things down, and good people hard to find, man. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. So, like, you know, we got a sidewalk down there that when the water mains burst, it stayed like that for over 8 months. All the tenants was upset. And the sidewalk still at a disarray. Ain't nobody came out to fix the sidewalk, the city. And then I was lied to, said, well, you know, said how, okay, on the property found out that the water main break. Okay, it was like in the middle of the alley. I said, okay, fine, you know. Just need all this jumping around, just go fix it. I'm gonna antique something, I'm gonna antique it. I'm gonna keep it. I've did that before, man. And it's too much jumping around. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. And my other thing is that we don't need all these individuals on the chairman part as well as the council part. We don't need that, you know, just, you know, come out there and cut that grass and be done with it. You know, and for God's sake, get those signs out there so Birmingham can come out there and do their job. And I've been in contact with the West Precinct for a long time. And they try to work with me, but they can't work with me. You know, like if they ain't got no bill. I mean, what do you want me to do?
May I ask that, Larry Williams, you can raise your hand, please? Would you give Larry Williams a list of the items that you just mentioned so that we can be clear that we review those things and make sure we, your contractors out we need to do, and then we need to have communication with other partners or agencies that need to be involved. We would do that as well.
I got one last thing to say. It's time for a real makeover. And I mean, I even call y'all from mine. Thank you. It's time for a real makeover over there. And, you know, like I sit back there and heard y'all speak. Ain't nobody saying nothing about green. That we was gonna try to build green or something under that effect. You know, $50 million, $5.4 million, you know. It's got to be a way that we not really try to shortcut this and still come out energy, you know, sufficient and have those sites, you know, energy sufficient. The windows, I mean, some of the doors ain't even set right. I mean, I showed a couple of them out there how to reset the doors. It's pitiful. I am very knowledgeable criticism.
Well, thank you, Mr. Wilkerson. If you'll get with us, we can put a list together, make sure we follow up on everything. Thank you.
I need those signs and those driveways out there at 6 feet. No lottery.
Promise.
It ain't gonna hurt nothing.
We'll make sure to add it to the list. Thank you. All right, concluding that item, we will now move,
Telling them they gonna.
have executive session here. Are there items that need to be discussed in executive session?
We don't have any items for executive session.
Okay,
Oh, that's a list.
all right,
So may I speak?
sure.
I'm sorry. I'm probably out of order, but I wanted to say this earlier, but I just wanted to take the time to share with Commissioner Hood. You know, I just want to personally say thank you. I always say thank you for his support and the things he's done as we move forward, have our discussions. You know, a lot of times we'll be on a either call or email or a text. And our calls, I just got a few minutes of your time and we end up talking about multiple things. And, you know, just as innovative thoughts and carry me through and help me move forward a lot of things. I just want to take the time to say thank you. Thank you for your support you've done and look forward again to the continuous leadership from our other chair and continuous support by vice chair to our chair. So thanks again.
Thank you.
I too want to reiterate my thanks to Chairman Hood and Commissioner Hood and all the work you've done. And, you know, including the meeting today, we still got a lot of work to do. We're all going to be doing it together. And I'm excited to get to work with the rest of Ms. Foster's team too. It's going to be a lot to do, but I'm glad to do it with y'all. All right. So can I have a motion? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Not adjourned to you.